iXBRL data for S&P 100 for Google Sheets Part 2. In the first part of this lab, you should have created a sheet and connected it to the iXBRL Analyst plugin. You see a menu up here in your menu bar. And we tested that connection by putting in an XBRL fact formula. In this part, now we're going to look up and perform analysis for a series of companies. So in our Excel document, I'm going to go ahead and delete this formula, and I'm going to fill in my cell to match the information that's provided in the lab. I'm going to put in my company, the year, the period, and the scale. These will all be inputs for my formulas. So up here, I'm going to put in MSFT for Microsoft. My year will be 2020. The period will be Y for the yearly or annual report. And the scale, what I want to round to, is going to be 1 million. Now in row 6, I'm going to add some accounts and year titles. So for column B in row 6, I want to put equals $B2 because I want to have it report the year 2020 and press enter. Then I want to do the period previous to that, so I'll just do equals B6 minus 1, and then equals C6 minus 1. Now I have titles for 2020, 2019, and 2018. Now I'm going to copy over some of the formulas, and in this case we're using the standardized tags that are available for iXBRL Analyst instead of the original XBRL tags themselves. So take a moment and copy these over. So now that you have all of these different accounts, you want to make sure that your spelling is correct because it's going to look these up just like a query in a database. And now we're going to use the formula and we're going to enter in this XBRL fact. So equals XBRL fact in B7, open parentheses, and I first want to begin with B1, the company ticker. Now I don't want this to move when I copy my formula, so I'll press F4 to lock that in place. So I have an absolute reference, $ before the B column and before the 1. Then put a comma, and we're going to choose A7 for my account number. Now when I move this formula, I don't want the column to change, but I do want the row to change so it matches the accounts here. So I'm going to press F4 3 times, so I have a $A7, and that will lock the column. After my account, I want the year, so I'm going to choose B6. And in this case, I'm going to press F4 2 times because I want to be able to move the column but not the row. Then comma, and we're going to choose the year period, so B3. And I'll press F4 once to lock that column and row. Once that's there, I'm going to close the parentheses, and then I'm going to divide this by my scale, B4. And I want to press F4 to lock that in place, so $B, $4. And it's really important that we have these absolute and relative references, because if you've done this correctly, you press return and load up the first value. Now when you grab this formula and drag it down the rows, it's going to change the account to show each of the account values. And if I drag this across the columns, it's going to move and change the year for each of these values. So now I have my financial figures for the 3-year period. Now, if you want to clean this up a little bit, you can use your formatting tools. You can make these currency values, maybe get rid of some of the zeros. And once you have your formula showing your accounts and the values here, go ahead and take your second screenshot. Now, if we want to show the trends over time, we can use little visuals called sparklines. So if I go into E7, I'm going to put in equals sparkline. And this is a formula originally from Excel. But if I select my values, B7 to D7, and then close the parentheses, what this will do is it will create a line showing the trend of the values from 2018 to 2020. If I grab this cell and drag it all the way down, I can see how different accounts have changed over that 3-year period in a really simple visual. Now, if I want to prepare a vertical analysis to see how these compare as a percentage of revenue, I'm going to take these same values, so B6 to D6, and I'm going to copy these over into F6. So now I've got the same headers. But in this case, in F7, what I want to do is I want to take equals B7, which is my revenue, and I'm going to divide that by B7 again. In this case, I want to lock my row. So press F4 twice, so we have B $7. That way, when I copy this formula down, it will lock in the revenue as my denominator. So I want to see how everything is a percentage of my revenue. Go ahead and press enter, and you'll see this is 100%. Google Sheets will give you a suggestion to autofill. You can press the enter key to autofill. It'll copy that formula down. And then we can take this and we can copy it across for the previous 2 years. Again, let's format these numbers as a percentage. So up here in my toolbar, I'm going to click on the Format as Percent button. And now I have my vertical analysis that shows each of these costs and incomes as a percentage of revenue. So for every dollar in revenue I get to keep 30 cents in 2020, 31 cents in 2019, 15 cents in 2018. Now let's go ahead and add a sparkline. Show the trend over the 3-year period. We'll drag and copy this down. And again, we can see how the trend has changed over time. Notice because we're looking at percentages instead of raw dollar values, these trend lines will go slightly differently from what we see in the original visualization. Now that we have our sheet set up, we can come up to the company and we can change this to any of the S&P 100 companies. Say I want to look at CSCO for Cisco, and it's going to dynamically change the statement to show the values for Cisco and the vertical analysis that corresponds with that. Go ahead and take your third screenshot, then answer the lab questions, and that concludes this lab.